How has Qatar become so powerful in international affairs? In recent years, this small Gulf Arab nation has emerged as one of the most significant players in international politics, economics and culture. It mediates conflicts in the Middle East, hosts a massive US military base and owns some of the most important global media outlets. But while all this shows how small states can sometimes punch far above their weight on the world stage, it hasn't been without controversy. Its growth has sparked tensions with its neighbours, and most recently, Israel even attacked the country. So, just how did Qatar become such an important international actor, and why has this caused such tensions? Hello and welcome. My name is James Ker-Lindsay, and here I take an informed look at international relations, conflict and security. We often think of international powers as large states with massive populations, major economies and immense military power. However, while all this helps, it doesn't always work this way. Sometimes, through a combination of strategic location, access to essential resources, or even just effective political leadership, small countries can develop an influence that far outweighs their size and seemingly limited capabilities. Qatar is a prime example. As one of the smallest UN members, with just 3 million inhabitants, there appears to be little reason why it should be a global player. And yet it's managed to forge a leading position in international affairs. From mediating conflicts to becoming a hub for transport, media and sport, Qatar has demonstrated how a small country can become a significant force in international relations. To understand Qatar's achievements, we must first delve into its location, population and the basis for its economic strength. The state of Qatar is situated on a small peninsula that extends from the eastern coast of the Arabian Peninsula into the Persian Gulf. Aside from a land border with Saudi Arabia, it therefore shares a maritime boundary with Iran, Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates. While the population stands at just 3 million, only 500,000 are native Qataris. The overwhelming majority are migrant workers from South and Southeast Asia brought in to build and maintain the country's infrastructure or serve as domestic workers or other foreign residents working in various professional areas such as academia, medicine or the all-important energy sector. In addition to oil, Qatar is home to some of the world's largest natural gas reserves, and it's this immense wealth that in turn provides the foundations for its ambitious foreign and domestic policies. While Qatar may have emerged as a leading international actor, its rise to global prominence is in fact relatively recent. Indeed, in many ways, it came from nowhere. While it's believed that human settlement in Qatar stretches back to prehistoric times, it appears to have been sparsely inhabited. Although it had been part of the Islamic Caliphate that emerged in Arabia in the 7th century, its modern history really begins in the late 18th century. It was at that point that various Arabian tribes arrived, including the Al Thani, who eventually established the Qatari ruling dynasty. Having come under effective Ottoman control in the late 19th century, all this changed during the First World War when Qatar became a British protectorate. Still relatively underdeveloped, everything changed in the 1930s with the discovery of oil. As a result, over the following decades, Qatar's economy began to grow. However, the key turning point came in the late 1960s. As Britain continued the process of decolonisation, it announced that it was withdrawing from the Gulf region. But while Qatar initially considered joining a federation with its nearby neighbours, the future United Arab Emirates, it eventually decided to go its own way. On the 3rd of September 1971, it gained independence, with the Al Thani family cementing their role as the ruling dynasty. Initially, independence brought relatively modest changes. Qatar essentially remained a quiet state. However, it was the discovery of natural gas that changed everything. By the 1990s, Qatar was rapidly becoming one of the richest countries in the world. And it was at this point that political changes would play a critical role. While the Al Thani family continued to rule the country, in 1995 Sheikh Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani overthrew his father in a bloodless coup. Having taken the reins of power, the country's new emir ushered in an ambitious domestic development programme. At the same time, he also understood that while his country had enormous wealth, it was also highly vulnerable. Surrounded by larger neighbours, including Saudi Arabia and Iran, Qatar needed to find a way to secure its independence. As a result, Qatar began to open itself up to the world, economically, politically, and even culturally. In addition to investing in infrastructure, it launched new industries, invited foreign institutions to establish themselves in the country, and made it a hub for media and transportation. By doing all this, Qatar effectively gave various other countries a direct stake in its ongoing independence, stability, and security. This approach has continued under his son, the current emir, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, who succeeded his father when he abdicated in 2013. By all accounts, the strategy has been remarkably successful. Politically, it's developed a unique niche as a mediator, leveraging its wealth and neutrality, as well as its ability to speak with actors that many other countries won't touch, such as Islamist movements. It's gained a distinctive diplomatic role as a trusted broker in various conflicts. For example, in addition to hosting negotiations between the United States and the Taliban and engaging with disputes across Africa and the Middle East, most recently it's gained international attention for mediating talks between Israel and Hamas. At the same time, it's become a critical strategic partner for the United States. The Udeid Air Base near Doha, the country's capital, has been a significant hub for American military operations across the Middle East, particularly during the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. As well as guaranteeing US protection, this has also given Qatar considerable leverage in Washington. But while Qatar has become a prominent political and diplomatic player, it's also extended its global reach in other ways. Culturally and socially, Qatar has invested heavily in what's often referred to as soft power. Perhaps most famously, it set up the Al Jazeera television network in 1996, and this has given Qatar a hugely influential media outlet that's reached millions of viewers around the world. Meanwhile, Qatar Airways has turned Doha Airport into one of the world's leading aviation hubs, linking the country to almost every corner of the planet. Elsewhere, the country's invested heavily in developing its standing in the field of higher education. Major Western universities, including Georgetown and Northwestern, have set up campuses and research centres in the country. It's also spent vast sums on building art museums and cultural institutions, including the world-renowned Museum of Islamic Art. And of course, it's invested in sport. It spent billions hosting the 2022 FIFA World Cup, the first time the event had been held in an Arab state. I hope you're finding this useful. If so, please do give it a like and perhaps consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Many thanks, and now back to the video. But despite all this, Qatar's rise has not been without controversy and criticism. First of all, many have condemned its foreign policy. Qatar's willingness to engage with Islamist movements, including the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas, has drawn sharp criticism from its neighbours as well as from various Western powers. Meanwhile, its apparent support for uprisings during the Arab Spring in 2010 and 2011, which were heavily covered by Al Jazeera, caused alarm in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, which saw Qatar as backing groups that threatened their own regimes. These tensions all came to a head in 2017 when Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain and Egypt imposed a blockade on Qatar, accusing it of supporting terrorism, undermining other Arab nations and being too close to nearby Iran, which had a history of attempting to destabilise the Gulf monarchies. However, thanks to its vast wealth, along with support from Turkey and Iran, Qatar managed to withstand the crisis. In the end, relations were restored in 2021, even though Qatar hadn't made the key concessions that had been demanded, including closing Al Jazeera. Nevertheless, the incident revealed just how profoundly Qatar's policies had unsettled many of its neighbours. More recently, though, Qatar has also faced harsh criticism from Israel. Although the country hosted critical talks between Israeli and Hamas officials as the Gaza war escalated, the Israeli government accused Qatar of sheltering Hamas leaders. This all came to a head in early September 2025 when Israel launched airstrikes against Hamas targets based in the country, an attack that was widely condemned by Qatar and much of the international community, and later saw the country's emir tell the United Nations that Israel was trying to undermine Middle East peace. To add to all this, Qatar has also faced heavy criticism for its domestic policies. There's been heavy international condemnation of its treatment of migrant workers, who make up a vast majority of the population. Reports of poor working conditions, low pay and lack of rights came to international attention in the run-up to the World Cup. Meanwhile, human rights organisations have accused Qatar of exploiting workers to fuel its global ambitions, arguing that this shows a darker side to its wealth and influence. Ultimately, Qatar has become a global player through a combination of wealth, luck, location and political ambition. And yet its rise has also been marked by controversy and tension. While close to the West, its ties to controversial Islamist groups have also fed tensions with its partners and neighbours. In this sense, one gets the feeling that while it's influential and wealthy, at least at the moment, it's also potentially vulnerable. Nevertheless, for now, Qatar remains a fascinating example of how, just occasionally, international relations aren't solely shaped by large states. Under the right conditions, small countries can also become powerful actors on the global stage. I hope you found that useful. If so, here are some more videos that you might find interesting. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next video.